Hello friends, happy Thursday. I am back this week with a fun Halloween class for you. In case you missed the message, I did not have a weekly card class last week. My youngest daughter has really been struggling with school this year so far. She's in second grade, and she has had a lot of anxiety about going to school. She's just worried about being worried some of the time. And I was just emotionally drained last week and tired, and I just needed a break. So I skipped my weekly card class last week, and I appreciate your understanding. And those of you who are thinking about her and praying for her, we appreciate it. She is doing a little bit better this week. I thought today was going to be really awful because I had to wake her up on Thursdays. My kids start their band lessons a half hour before school starts. And so we have to get out the door early. We have to sit there at school for a half hour before we, get going on the day while one of my other kids has their band lesson. And so the last couple weeks, that's been really hard for her because she just has to sit there and worry about school and not just get going on the day. Today when I woke her up, she was crying, saying she didn't want to go to school. She told me she wasn't going to school. But once she got up and she got going, there were actually no tears at school, which that's the first day that has happened in several weeks. So, I've been leaving crying every day because it's hard to leave her like that. And today I was crying too, but they were happy tears, because she actually left me with a smile. So, sorry, it's kind of emotional because, it's been really hard these last few weeks, but she is doing better. She's making progress. So that is good. All right, got to pull it together. We have some really fun projects today. If you would like to craft along and you would like to make these projects too, you can get a card kit for the 3 projects that we're making today. And all you have to do is shop with me now through Tuesday. And when you spend more than $50, I will send you the card kit. Now this week it's 2 cards and a little treat package. So you'll get supplies to make those 3 things. I also like to send out the cards that I make each week. I'm not going to send the treat package because that's going to cost more to send than a letter. But I will send the 2 cards. So if you are watching, please say hello and comment during the video. I draw random winners from all the comments to send the cards to, and they are super cute today. I think you're going to love them. I see Joan is watching. Hello, Joan. I was a little late today, so you didn't miss much. I was texting with my husband. We have had so much going on besides my daughter's troubles with school. Our hot water heater went out a few weeks ago. We've had a lot of issues with our minivan. And finally, we decided we're not going to put any more money into it. We're going to get something new, newer to us. We're still looking at older vehicles, just because my husband hates all the new electronic parts in vehicles. And also it's a little easier on the budget to look for something older. So we had a minivan shipped in from California through CarMax. I don't know. You can comment if you have shopped through CarMax before. It's our first time doing it. But because we're in Arizona, it was relatively cheap to have one shipped in from California, so we can test drive it. And there was a lot more inventory of what we were looking for there, so that's why we went that route. But we finally get to test drive the one that we had shipped in today. So there's a lot going on. We're trying to decide if we're going to trade ours in or try to sell it ourselves. We're just ready to be done because it's been a few weeks since we have been looking for a car and working on that too. And we have a pool pump that probably needs to be replaced. At least parts of it do. It's actually a miracle that it is still working the way it is. My husband has Jimmy rigged ropes and things so it's not leaking. And that's kind of a miracle that that's still going. So we've had a lot of different weird things going on, and it's been kind of crazy. All right, I'm going to flip the camera down and show you the products that we're working with this week because they are so much fun. Let's see here. We are going to work with the Spooky Sweet collection today. And you might wonder why I'm doing Halloween at the beginning of September. These products were actually released, let's see, that's September. So these products were released in July with our online exclusives. And there's not really Halloween products in the new products that were released yesterday. And that's because Stampin' Up! Wants you to have plenty of time to prepare ahead. So I don't know if you're thinking about Halloween yet, but these products are really cute. And what often happens is the closer we get to Halloween, this stuff starts to sell out. People get upset that they can't get it. So I thought we're going to start September off with Halloween. And if you like it, I would buy it now, because that way you'll have it. Even if you're not quite ready to craft for Halloween yet, you won't miss out if you see something that you like. Okay, we have Spooky Halloween here. This is the bundle. So there is a stamp set, and then there is a die set. So you have the open dies that will cut out your two cute little critters, the broom, and there's two that'll cut out the Halloween pumpkin, so you can do multiples. And then you've got some fun dies. I probably should have cut this one out. I actually haven't used it yet. But it pops out this little bat, so it can be more of a 3D, and it can be like a little tag topper to go over your bag, so you can fold it where the bat is, and then the bat sticks up. It's really cute. You've got your haunted house and your fence, and then some cute little bats. So this is a really cute set. There's another Halloween bundle that was released in July also. You can check that one out. I forget the name of it. But there's a couple different options. And then we also have a really cute kit in our kits collection that is little treat boxes, and those are adorable also. Okay, then the embellishment in this suite is the Shimmer Star foam stickers. They are in white, black, and Petunia Pop, and they are awesome. And then we have this Petunia Pop 1/4 inch iridescent ribbon. So it's Petunia Pop, but then it has like that shimmery, I don't know, shine weaved into it, and it's really, really, really pretty. We used it with one of the Christmas bundles a while back, so maybe you remember that. And then, let's see, what else do I need to show you? Oh, the paper. I can't forget the paper. So this is a specialty designer series paper. It is 12 by 12, and it is specialty because it has die cut sheets, which are a lot of fun. So I'm going to show you all the patterns. You get 2 of each. So it's 12 by 12, and you get 2 sheets of the die cuts. They're exactly the same. Aren't these so fun? I love the little animals dressed up for Halloween. That is probably why I love this suite so much. Then we've got our orange and our black. There are little black polka dots in there. I don't know if you can see those too well. I love this sheet. You saw my Halloween card yesterday maybe, where I fussy cut some of these guys out for that, but they are so much fun. We have a running joke with my dad about flamingos, so I had to get it because of that. And I think I've told you before, my youngest daughter loves pigs, so we had the pig and the flamingo. That sold me on it. This one is more of a gray. I think it lists in the paper basic black, so I think this is just like a faded shade of that, but it looks gray and then some black speckles in there. This is another fun sheet. These aren't like punch outs, but they can be used as tags, and you can just cut on the lines. And you get 2 sheets of it, so you can make a whole bunch of different treats for Halloween if you want. Then we've got orange and white. It's kind of like a stripe, almost like a wood grain, like a weathered wood, with the pumpkin pie and the white. And then on the other side, you've got your little haunted house windows with the eyes peeking out, and the cats, and the pumpkins. Really cute. This is one of my favorite patterns of the paper. You've got all your little candies there. And then on the back, we've got black and orange in different shades and textures. Then this is another fun sheet, so you can cut these apart to use as card fronts. This could go along the edge of a scrapbook page. You could use this as a whole scene, or you could cut it apart into different ones. I think this page is a lot of fun. I left this one because I'm probably going to cut apart this side and use it. But on our one card today, we're using this side, which is Petunia Pop. And I also love that. It's one of my favorite colors. Okay, so like I said, today we're going to make 2 cards and 1 treat holder. So the first card I shared on Tuesday, I think. And this one is just a regular card. I don't know if you send cards for Halloween. I don't typically. But if you do, then this is a cute one. And while this is kind of Halloween themed, Don't Worry, Eat Sweets, I think is one that sentiment you could use outside of Halloween too. Actually, someone said that to me and my daughter last week. Just make some cake. It'll make you feel better. And that's true. Sweets help sometimes, don't they? Okay. We have a basic black card base here that's 5.5 by 8.5, and we'll fold that in half. And then I've cut that candy pattern of the Designer Series paper to 5.25 by 4. And we're just going to adhere that to our card base. I don't think I folded quite straight. Maybe I didn't cut quite straight. I don't know. It's a little off. That's okay. All right. We're going to do a little watercoloring next. So I have a piece of watercolor paper here that's 3 by 4. And I'm going to pull in my Daffodil Delight ink pad. I have a water painter. Now, I don't know if you saw this yesterday. This was kind of a surprise to everybody. These went out of stock because of a supplier issue, I think, a while back. And they are back in. They found a new supplier, and that was just like a happy surprise yesterday. So if you have been missing the aqua painter or the water painters, aqua painter is the old version. If you have been missing the water painters, you can get them again. So that worked out perfectly. You can also use a paintbrush if you want. So our water painters, you can put water into this part. And then if you squeeze it, water comes out into the brush. Now, usually I will have a dish of water because I like to add more water when I'm watercoloring, at least for backgrounds. And so I will generally use a dish of water. So you could use a regular paintbrush for this too if you wanted to. But our water painters are awesome. They come in a 3-pack. So there's a really wide brush. This is the medium one, and then there's a smaller one. And I like to pick up color from my ink pad. You could also use an ink refill, and this is Daffodil Delight. So I just pushed a clear block into the ink pad. Now to make my backgrounds, I like to add a layer of water on the watercolor paper. And I'm not going all the way to the edge because I don't want my background color to go all the way to the edge. But I do want a good layer of water. That'll help the color spread out. Then I'll add some water to my ink over here. And we will just add some color to our background. I don't know if you like to watercolor or not. You can let me know in the comments. I love making watercolor backgrounds. It is one of my favorite techniques to do on a card because it looks really fancy, but I don't think it's really that hard. You can add more water if needed. You can add more ink until you get it looking how you want, and I think that's pretty good. So I will leave my water painter to dry. I'm going to close up my ink, move my water out of the way, and I'm going to let this dry for just a minute while we do some more stamping over here. Okay, so this is going to get layered onto Petunia Pop that is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. We'll do that once it dries. Then I have a piece of white here, and we're going to stamp our little Frankenstein dog here. I'm going to color him with Stampin' Blends markers, so I'm using our Memento black ink. And we will just stamp him on there. And then while I have the black ink out, we're going to stamp our sentiment on this pumpkin pie label. And this label I cut with the Textured Notes dies. the sentiment fits perfectly right in this rectangle. Love when that happens and it matches up like that. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Had to find the lid for my ink pad there. Okay, we're going to color this guy. I pulled out a whole bunch of colors today that are colors you will find in the Designer Series paper. So he's a dog. He is like Frankenstein, so you could do, I've seen him colored in green, but I'm going to use Crumb Cake today. So I'm going to color this little spot over his eye with my dark Crumb Cake. And then we're just going to add a few of maybe shadows with the dark along here, along this spot on his ear. We'll go over this mark on his face and maybe up the side over here. I just got new Crumb Cake markers, so they are working really well. And then we're going to fill in with the light. And this is not a huge area to color, so I am just using the tip end. I probably could use the brush for his face. That's a little bit bigger. But I like to go over those parts where the light and the dark meet, and that helps the color to blend a little bit more. And then you also get different shades because every time you color over it, it adds another layer of color. So if you kind of blend outward, then you get the darkest and it goes into the light, if that makes sense. So I sometimes add a little bit more along that line to help it blend and then to get more gradient color. Like that. All right, I'm going to switch back to my pen tip and color his little paws here. I think that's all we need the Crumb Cake for. Okay, the green color in the paper is Granny Apple Green, but you could also use Lemon Lime Twist if you want. And we're going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to color little cuffs of the shirt with dark Granny Apple Green. And then we're just going to do a little bit of dark kind of around the edges of the shirt. And then we'll blend in and make the center of it the lightest. All right, we'll take our light here. Yep, my brush tip on that one is a little bit worn. I don't want to go outside the lines, so we'll definitely use our pen tip for this. And I don't know if that's his neck or part of the shirt. We're going to make it part of the shirt today, but you can use your own creative judgment when you are coloring. If you think that part should be his neck, you can color it with Crumb Cake. All right. That's pretty good. All right, and then for his shorts, we're going to use Smoky Slate. So I have the dark, and we're just going to do a line of dark underneath the shirt where there might be a little bit of a shadow from the shirt. And then we'll blend that into the light. Like that. All right, I had to bring in the Petunia Pop, so I am going to use my light Petunia Pop for the sucker. And I think I went over the line of the sucker with my dark on the first card, but you know, some of the Stampin' Blends markers, the light and dark, are more pronounced, more different. The Petunia Pop, I feel like the shades are kind of similar, so I don't know. I guess I could add a little dark. Our Stampin' Blends markers all come in a 2-pack with light and dark, so if you have the color, you'll have light and dark. I don't know if that makes too much of a difference. All right, and then I thought it would be fun to color his socks like the colors of candy corn. So I have my dark pumpkin pie and my dark Daffodil Delight. And we're just going to make him have little striped socks here for Halloween. So I was just trying to draw out all of the colors in the designer series paper. If you don't want to get out quite so many colors or you don't have so many colors, that's fine. You can use less colors if you want. Okay, we are going to grab our die and cut him out. So there's that one. Let's grab our die cutting machine. And we'll put him in. It is so nice to not have to fussy cut some of these. Now, on the designer series paper, you do have lots of opportunities for fussy cutting if that is something you enjoy. Oh, stay on there, guy. Okay, try and not get him too crooked. I was a little crooked on my sample, but it's not too noticeable. Sometimes, no matter what you do, the dies move around, even when it looks straight going in. Well, this one I think is a little better than my sample, even. So that's good. Okay, move that out of the way. Put our die back so he doesn't get lost there. All right, and then we have one more thing to do with our watercolor background. Just to add a little bit of texture, I'm going to get my dark Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends marker again. Excuse me. We're going to take the brush end, and if you kind of flick the brush end against the lid, you'll get some ink splatters. And it's just a fun little addition to your background. Okay, now we are going to add this piece to our Petunia Pop mat, and remember the Petunia Pop piece is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8, so it's just a very narrow border to kind of help that background pop off of our designer series paper. And we have quite a few layers, so I just did this one flat also, but you could put it up with dimensionals if you wanted to. All right, we are going to pop this guy up with dimensionals, so he just needs a few. Put him there kind of in the center. And we'll add our sentiment with a few dimensionals also. Like this. And that can go across the bottom there. All right, then let me find my ribbon back. Here we go. We're going to tie a bow with our shiny Petunia Pop ribbon. And I'm just going to put this up in the corner. Add that with a glue dot. Like that. And then we will finish off with a few of our stars here. And I thought the black ones kind of popped off of here, and we have our black card base. So, and these are shimmery, which is even better, right? So I put them up here kind of like they were in the sky. All right, there is our first card. Let me know what you think of that one in the comments. I think it's really cute. I'm going to have to think of somebody fun to send this to for Halloween. But I will tuck it in here. I'm going to send this one to one of you. So make sure you are leaving some comments and you will be entered to win. Okay, second, we are going to do a little treat package. Now, I promised you this a few weeks ago when we did the Notes and Totes bundle. I said I'm going to show you how to make a little tote that is a treat package. This one is the perfect size for a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, which I'm just saying is the best treat, I think. But you could probably put like 2 mini size Snickers in here. You could even stuff, you might even be able to fit 2 Reese's in here if you are being generous and you don't want to eat the other one yourself. But this is such a cute little tote bag. Since I put my little die cut down here past the bottom, it's not really going to stand up, but we'll see. Maybe on my second one. I don't know if it'll stand up anyways. But it is super cute, and I'm going to show you how this goes together today. So when you get the card kit this week, your cards are sorted into envelopes, just like that first one. Your treat package is going to be sorted into a little baggie, so you have all your pieces that you need to put it together. And like I said, I'm not going to send this one out to a winner because I think it would cost me more to mail it. But it is a cute project, and I definitely wanted to show you how this little tote can go together. So you're going to need 2 pieces. I should have brought the dies in here, but you're going to need 2 pieces of this tote. And then I also ended up cutting 4 handles because I'm going to glue them back to back just to make it look a little nicer and a little sturdier. I mean, I don't know that I'm going to be carrying it by the handles, but then you get the finished look on both sides. And then there's a die that cuts this bottom part and the 2 sides like this. And you do that twice, so your front and your back both look finished. Okay, so this die will cut and create score lines. So we're just going to fold on the score lines here. These are tiny little tabs. I did try gluing them on mine, but I don't know that it really made too much of a difference. So they are there, but I don't know that I'm going to put glue on them this time. I would recommend the liquid glue for this because it gives you a little wiggle room and it is a strong adhesive for a treat package. The other option is tear and tape, but it's a little wider than some of these spots, and so the glue is probably your best option. All right, I think I'm going to add these pieces before we get too far into this. We can do the handles later, but we're going to do these. Now, when I used this bundle a few weeks ago, we lined these up with the handles, but I thought for this, it worked better on the sides, so you can line it up with at the edge of your score lines. And I just die cut these out of the designer series paper. So this is the white and pumpkin pie pattern. It looks kind of like the weathered wood. Never seen weathered wood in pumpkin pie before, but you know, anything's possible in paper crafting. So we're going to do that on both pieces so that our back and our front looks finished. Let me know in the comments if you have ordered the Notes and Totes bundle yet. It is so much fun. If you have not yet watched that class from 2 weeks ago, make sure you go back and watch it. If you're watching on Facebook, was I live that week? I think I was. I don't remember. You can for sure find it on my YouTube channel. And on Facebook for a few more weeks if it was live. You know, they delete the live videos after 30 days now. So all of my videos are always on YouTube. After I'm done here, I go put them on there so they can live forever. Okay, and then this piece is going to go at the bottom here. So it overlaps those straight pieces like that. And if you are not on my email list yet, when I'm done, I'll put a link to join that in the description of the video. But I email the videos every Thursday also. So when I'm done here, I work on that. And that way, if you're not able to catch it live or you forget, or maybe you think it's a different day of the week, like on a holiday week, you're not sure what day it is, and you miss it, you'll get it emailed to you. Okay. So you can kind of bend this again because that part that you added, you want it to bend a little bit. And we're basically just going to put these pieces together. Now I think the easiest part to put together first is the bottom. So I'm going to put glue along that part. Now I don't know if there's a right or a wrong way to do this, or maybe there's even more than one way. So that is definitely the wrong way. So we're going to line up our bottoms like this. So then you should have little tabs on each side. I did watch another demonstrator's video how she put it together. I think this is what she did. I watched it a few weeks ago, and then I just decided I'll just do it myself. So there might be more than one way to do this. There might be a better way to do this, but this is how I'm doing it. All right, so like I said, you could put glue on those little tabs, but I found that I didn't think that was completely necessary. We're going to put glue on this tab, and it's going to get glued to this other one. But what we want to happen is we want this to kind of bend in a little bit, like that. So it's like a tote bag. You know when a tote bag is sitting up. So I'm just kind of holding the glue in there until it dries for a minute. I'm not exactly straight either, so maybe I should adjust that before it dries too much. That is the beauty of the glue, although I find it does dry and stick pretty quick. And if you need to, you can add more glue to these to get them to stick down, because there we go. When you bend it, it likes to pop up. All right, I think that's probably good. All right, so same thing on this side. Just make sure these little tabs are tucked in, but like I said, I don't think you need glue. All right, I'm going to line these up just like we did on the other side and kind of pop that in. We'll add a little bit of glue to these guys. If my glue will come out. That was probably too much glue that came out. That's okay. I am going to have glue all over my fingers. I probably should have done the other card and saved this for last because my fingers are going to be sticky. That's all right. I'm using a little bit of glue on the last card too, so I'm just going to have to go take a soak in my, I have dishes to do, so that should do a good job of soaking all the glue off, right? All right. I guess I was bending those the wrong way. Bend it out. If you want your bag to look more like a grocery bag, you could do that, like that. But either way, you'll get that kind of tote bag look. Okay, next we are going to add the handles. So I'm going to put a dot of glue there, and then we do want this to stick to our other handle. So see how much glue I can get on myself here. All right, make sure that's kind of centered there, like that. And I just chose black and pumpkin pie because those are Halloween colors. That was really the only reason why. You could cut this out of designer series paper too. Cardstock is a little bit sturdier depending on what treat you are going to put in there and how heavy it is, but I don't think anybody's going to carry this around like a real tote bag, so it doesn't have to be too heavy duty. All right, I just want my handles to line up on this curved part here. We're close enough, and then it'll look finished on both sides. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I think my handle's a little wonky, but that's okay. Put a little glue. You could also use adhesive sheets on these if you think about that before you die cut. But then you don't really have any wiggle room either. Now, I do want to kind of make sure this is about the same height, but like I said, I don't think anybody's actually going to carry it around like a tote bag, so not a big deal. Now these for sure I'm going to hand out. I don't know, these might make good little teacher gifts for Halloween. I like to always give something to my kids' teachers at different holidays and stuff. Just something small like this that, you know, I'm thinking of you. It's not really anything big, just a piece or two of candy, but really cute. Okay, so there's our little tote bag. Now I've got to make our little tag. So this is really fun. I don't think I brought them in here. This is a brand new die set that was released yesterday. It is part of a huge suite in our mini catalog called the Traditional Christmas Suite. But these are the Traditional Labels dies, and they are so pretty. So, so pretty. I'm going to be using that bundle actually for my Christmas card club this month. But I thought that it was perfect for my little Halloween tag here. So no tricks, all treats. I'm going to stamp in the top half of that label, because then our die cuts will kind of overlap on the bottom. And I just stamped in my black ink again. And then I'm just going to add this to my tote bag with some dimensionals. I thought about punching a hole and tying the ribbon around the handle, but then I couldn't find my little hole punch. And so I decided we'll just stick it on and it'll be great. So it can kind of go across like that. I am sure if you saw my picture of my workspace, you can understand why I couldn't find my little hole punch. All right, we're gonna put the candy corn, so that's a die cut from the Designer Series paper. Same with this one right here. And these face two different directions. So you might get one that goes one way, or you might get one that goes the other way. And if a lot of you order, then I might even send you a different little critter. I'm trying to think what else is on the die cuts. There's a little, I don't know if it's a toucan. I'll show you. There's a little bird here. I think it looks like a toucan, it's just not colorful. The hippo would be too big. So either you'll get this one if I have enough, or you'll get the little bird. So you guys order a lot and make me run out. I would love that. All right, so I meant to. I'm going to do a little Stampin' Seal along that side where it overlaps there, and then my dimensional on that side. And then we're going to add a few of our Petunia Pop Stars. Like this. I don't know, when I was younger I never thought of purple as a Halloween color, but it usually is in crafting, and I love the addition of purple with the orange and black. So I am all about purple. It is my favorite color. Alright, then we're going to tie a bow and just stick it on. We're not actually going to wrap it around the handle because it's made out of paper, so it might break if we did that. All right, a little glue dot and we'll be all good. And yes, my fingers are definitely sticky from that glue. All right, I did not bring in extra Reese's to stick in this one, but isn't that adorable? So these Notes and Totes dies, so fun and perfect for all your treat packaging. You could do Christmas themed ones with Christmas paper. You could do Thanksgiving themed ones with fall stuff. Lots and lots of options, but I think it's so cute, and lots of little candy bars would fit in there. So that is our second project today. All right, are you ready for the third one? All right, guys, this is a fun one. It doesn't look like anything too special right here, does it? But look at this. Woo! I used our flip flaps to make a fun little flip flop card. I showed you, I think I posted that yesterday or the day before, I really don't remember. The little kind of miniature photo album with the flip flaps. I ended up making one for my daughter with like Bible passages and a few family pictures to take with to school to help her out. And then I thought, I'm going to use these on a card because isn't that fun to flip it open? So fun. It is a regular card too, but it has that little flippy part on the front. So our flip flaps were added when we started having more scrapbooking products. And you can use them in scrapbooking, and they are super fun for that. We have different sizes. So today we're going to be using the 3x3 size, but I think there's also 4x4, 3x4, and 4x6, I believe, are the 4 different sizes. It has adhesive on one side, has the pocket that you can tuck a picture into. You could do journaling, like hidden journaling in your scrapbooking. You can make fun little flip cards like we're going to do today. You can stack them together like they showed in that video to make a little album. But it's just a lot of fun. And so they're not just for scrapbooking. We're going to use them in card making today too. Now this one has a ton of pieces if you look at my stack of things here. So if you guys are ordering this week, you're going to keep me busy next week when I cut all these card kits. But that is okay. That's what I like. So this one has a Petunia Pop card base, and this is just a regular size card, 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half. And then I have a piece of basic black that's 5.25 by 4, and we're using this Petunia Pop piece of the Designer Series paper. That's 3.75 by 5. Now I do think the other side is fun with those like pre-printed things that you can use, but I love the Petunia Pop, so I had to cut one of my sheets apart. And then we're going to adhere that to our card base. Just like that. All right, then I have a piece of pumpkin pie here. This one is 1 by 3.75. I'm going to get my pumpkin pie ink. And in this stamp set, there is a little pumpkin Halloween bucket. I'm going to stick this under so I don't go off the edge, maybe. But I'm just creating like a little background piece here. Maybe I should get a scrap paper instead. This is not too much of a scrap paper. Let's see. Okay. This is definitely a scrap. It's even ripped on one end. All right. So we are just going to stamp that pumpkin on there. And you maybe didn't even notice this part of the card when I first showed it to you. It's just a subtle little detail in the background. Excuse me. All right, we will put that away. Oh, and you know what? I already made a mistake because I shouldn't have glued that down, but that's okay. That's how I put it together the first time too, because I was creating and thinking and designing while I was putting things together. All right, so that goes there. And now let's stamp the pieces of our little flip-flap part. And then we'll adhere it, and we're going to have to tuck it under here, but I'm going to pop that part up a little bit so we can tuck it under and it doesn't get too stuck. Okay, so for the front, we have a piece of black that is 3 by 3. That's the size of the flip-flap. And I've actually cut 2 of those. So one's going to go inside here, and then I glued the white on either side, and I used the same black piece. Then we have a second black piece and then a third white piece for that inside part. So the black pieces are 3 by 3 and the white pieces are 2.75. So for the one on the front of the card, we're going to stamp the little kitty witch, and she gets stamped in Memento black ink so we can color her. And I'm not die cutting this one, so I just want her to be kind of in the center like that. Then, let's see, our one on the inside, we have Happy Halloween. That's also in black, so I'm going to stamp that while we have the black out. There we go. All right, put that away. Next, I'm going to grab my Daffodil Delight ink, and we have this little star stamp. Let's see if I can find where I set mine. I think I covered it up. Here it is. We have this little star stamp, and we're just going to stamp that kind of across the top here. Like that. You can do as many or as few as you would like. All right, next we're going to color our little kitty. So let's see, I am looking for my light Smoky Slate. There we go. we're going to color just this little stripe on her face and around her mouth and her nose with the light Smoky Slate. Then I'm going to use my light Petal Pink. This one is a good one for like animal ears, anything where you just want just a tiny bit of color. So her ears and her nose are going to be light Petal Pink. Then for her dress, we're going to use Petunia Pop. And I did it as a shirt and a skirt, but you could make the whole thing a dress if you would like. So just like before, I'm going to add my dark first. And then we'll go back in with the light. And I have not been very good about watching the comments today, so I will go back and look at those afterwards. But I hope you guys are liking these projects. This one was so much fun when I decided to do the flip flap. I thought this is going to be a very fun card. Okay, there is her dress, and then I'm going to grab my dark Petunia Pop again and just color across these stripes on the hat. Like that. Oops, I went outside the lines just a little bit. Don't do that when you color yours. All right, then let's see here. I have my light basic black. So very rarely do I use my dark basic black Stampin' Blends marker. The light I feel like is pretty dark. So I'm just coloring her little skirt with the light basic black. You could use the dark here if you wanted to, but I felt like the light was dark enough. And then her socks, or whatever these are, tights, are going to be black, and I pulled in the Granny Apple Green. So we're just going every other with the black. And then I did light Granny Apple Green for the other stripes. I like the green with the purple for Halloween too. Okay, so there she is. So we are going to layer that together. Like so. Then for our kind of inside piece, this one's going to go on here. And then just to fancy it up a little bit, I have a piece of that candy pattern of the Designer Series paper. That's 1/2 inch by 2 3/4, and we'll just put that along the bottom here. All right, then for our third piece, we're going to use the little bat die cuts from the Spooky Halloween set. And I wanted to make like a moon, a full moon behind them. So what I did was I made a little mask here with our 2 1/4 inch circle punch. I just punched it out. I do highly recommend putting a piece of tape on the back of your piece for your card so that doesn't slide around. And then I'm just going to kind of center this on here and tape this down. Now, the first couple times I tried this, I just taped it down like this, but then the piece underneath kind of moved a little bit, so that's why I put the piece of tape on the back there. I'm going to use one of our blending brushes in our Daffodil Delight ink. And I like to just do this in circles. Add ink on your blending brush, start off the side so you don't get the harsh lines of color. And we're just going to color our moon here. And I'm going to add just a little bit more color to the right side so it has a little more variation, and maybe it's a shadow, I don't know. All right, that's probably good. Close that ink up. Take our mask off. Now, if you get the card kit, I will include a mask like this for you in your kit so that you can do the moon also. take that piece of tape off. Now we're going to glue our 2 bats on. The die cuts out 2 at a time, which is really nice. So you can have your 2 black bats. Glue one up here. And then the second one. Like that. All right, now I thought it would be really fun to add some Wink of Stella and make sparkly bats. We used the Wink of Stella a few weeks ago too with our Notes and Totes bundle. But this just adds a little bit of sparkle and shimmer, which I thought was fun. It's not necessary, but it is definitely a cool addition to the card, I think. And like I said a few weeks ago, it does not show up on camera the best, but trust me, they are shimmery bats. I don't know if I'll get it to show. Maybe a little bit there. Okay, and then this is going to get glued to the back of our kitty cat piece. Like that. Then we're going to grab our flip flap here. So this white piece, the adhesive is behind here, the sticky part. Okay, so I want my front to be the kitty. Like that. All right, what did I do with the rest of the card? Here we go. Okay, so what I found was I put this piece on first and then I put this piece on. I don't know what is easier. Maybe I'll center this one first. The goal is that you want them to line up so when it's closed, you don't see that underneath part. So I'll put this part on first. All right, now this is a super cute card in and of itself, right? Without the flip flap. We're going to take the adhesive off, or the strip off. I'm going to line this up with my other one. And then, so you would want to do this before you adhere it to your card base, but I forgot. So I pulled up the edge and we're going to just tuck it around like that. And then, I don't know, I think I'm going to add a little more adhesive. Maybe some glue. The glue does come in handy sometimes. We'll put down some glue so that'll definitely stick down. Hold it there. Now because we're folding it over the edge here, it flaps up a little more than I wanted here. This one is not as bad as the first one I did. But what I thought I would do is just add a little bit of glue along here to help hold that down. So we'll hold that there for a minute and hopefully not make too big of a gluey mess. And it's a little crooked, but not too bad. Now, my dilemma was, once I did this, I thought, well, that's kind of ugly. I mean, the glue dries clear, but you can still kind of see the flap there. So I wanted to cover that part up. So I cut a skinny strip of the orange speckled designer series paper. And this one is 3/8 of an inch by 3 1/4. And I'm going to use glue because I think it's going to stick a little bit better to that plastic than the Stampin' Seal. And I just added that over the top here so that you don't see that ugly gluey part. Here we go. If I adjust that, that matches a little bit better. And then I thought it still doesn't look quite right, so we're going to add a bow with our Petunia pop ribbon, and then it looks just perfect, at least in my opinion. Maybe you have a different opinion, but that's okay. All right, so we'll have our bow of Petunia pop. We are going to stick it down with a mini glue dot, like that. And then it flips up and you can see the Happy Halloween. My glue is not all the way dry yet, so I don't want it to pop up, but that's the idea. All right, now we cannot finish the card without some of our stars. And I thought I would just use all 3 of the colors this time. And I put them right on top of the flip flap here. And I used some of all of them. And I kept going because I love these stars. So you can add as many or as few as you want. I added quite a few because I think these stars are lots of fun. And they're shimmery, which makes them even more fun. There we go. All right, so that is our last card. It is a fun flip-flap card. I hope you like it. I don't think that I made up this idea. I think Patty Bennett did one like this or similar. So I'm not going to take credit for the idea to use flip-flaps on a card, but I do think it is really, really fun. So this one I will send to someone also who comments. We'll tuck that in there. And then let's bring all 3 projects from today back in. Here we go. So 2 cards and a little treat holder. And again, if you order with me now through Tuesday and you spend more than $50 before tax and shipping and after Stampin Rewards, I will send you the supplies to make these 3 projects. If you don't have the ribbon or the stars, you can add those onto your order. If you don't have the bundle, you can do that too. When I'm done here, I will go in the description and put a list of all the products that you might want to add to your order this week. And of course, a whole bunch of new products just dropped into the online store yesterday. So there's lots to shop for and lots to check out. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you need help placing that order. I am happy to help you. And I will see you again next week for our next card class. Have a great week. Bye.